Okay, very good. So we'll come to stand and we're going to use the rubber band again in the warm-up this week. Bringing the band around the ribcage. I do like this to give us some sensory feedback for the breath work. So that make sure it's around your ribcage and not just around your abdomen. And then inhaling through the nostrils. Really feel that expansion of the bases of the ribcage into the band. And then blowing out as if you're blowing through a straw. Now, as you do this breath work, do think about the ideal alignment. Feet under hips, knees unlocked, tailbone to the ground. Chest lifted, collarbones lengthening, and top of the head growing tall to the ceiling. So when you breathe in, feel expansion into the band. And as you exhale, blow through the narrowed opening, generating a little bit of resistance. And so notice particularly when you blow through that opening, you should notice a little bit more in the way of abdominal activation. So always, as we go through the session, activating the abdominal muscles gently in the background. As you press away, breathe out. So release the band, unravel it, that's it. Breathe out, reach out, breathe in, come in. And with the rubber band resistance, you get the opportunity, both as you press away into it and on the return, so that you've got, what do we call this, a win-win resistance on both directions. However, you can do all of these maneuvers without any resistance whatsoever. And so the focus of this session is on shoulders and also on the neck to a certain extent. Breathe out. The shoulder joints are really prone to problems. And release the arms, and we'll go the other way, chicken wings. And actually, I've had my fair share of shoulder problems. I injured my left shoulder skiing when I landed very heavily on it, and I dislocated my right shoulder skiing. So two shoulders that were for a long time very painful, and yet what I've noticed is the more I do the resistance work, the better that is. You know, I used to feel pain at night when I slept on my arm and be turning from one side to the other, and there wasn't a good one to pick from. And now I don't have that problem. And I absolutely put it down to doing this resistance work. The more muscled we are around the shoulders, the more protection there is for the joints and all the vulnerable structures around the shoulder. Perfect. And so me just talking just takes your mind off the fact that your arms might be starting to ache round about now. Very good. So release the arms and we'll come and stand on the band. And so we've got the shoulder is called the shoulder complex, and that's because it is quite complex. We've got the articulation of the shoulder joints. I'm shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, and we've got the scapula and the clavicle to consider, and the way in which those three joints move together. The acromioclavicular joint, the sternoclavicular joint, and the scapulothoracic joint, and then the shoulder joint. So I guess that's actually 4 joints if you add them all together. And then draw the circles. So pain is a difficult customer And we're programmed to avoid painful sensations, and I never encourage you to go into pain as we move through the session, but consider that the sensation associated with stretching on a scale, you might of 0 to 10, we go from the place where you would have a sensation that is acceptable, somewhere up to the region of 5, and then anything above that might be considered excessive. So bear this in mind as we go through the session. Bend at the elbow next. So take up the slack if you feel that's appropriate. Oh, I've got my hair in my eyes. Breathe out as you bend. Breathe in on the return. And again, as you allow the elbows to extend, the activation in the abdominal muscles, particularly if you do this very slowly, is more apparent perhaps. So breathe out and then breathe in on the return. And so the alignment of the shoulder and the shoulder girdle, really important for optimal function of the shoulder, but also the neck. And so you really want to have a sense of the shoulder blades resting in contact with the back of your rib cage. And doing things like this, the shoulder blades should remain completely still because we're not moving the shoulder at all. Very good. So this time we're going to bend to the side and then lift the elbow up. So lifting the elbow higher than the hand, allow the head to follow the movement of the spine. So you don't want to leave your head behind as you bend to the side. Take it with you and draw up on the band along the side of the waist. And then hold it here, and we'll do 3, 2, 1, and swap sides. And this time, 3, 2, 1, and do one more each side. So noticing the muscles around the center. 2, 1, lower it down, and last time, 3, 2, 1, lower it down. Perfect. So let's come up onto tiptoes, and don't worry if you lose your band from under your foot, not to worry. Breathe out, top of the head to the ceiling. Breathe in as you lower. And make sure the ankles open forwards as best you can. And 2 and 1. Very good. So we're going to do our squat next and couple that with our bicep curls. So when you're squatting lower, so you might want to take up the tension a little bit on the band. And think of that alignment of the back of the head in line with the back of you, bottom out behind you. Breathe in as you go down, breathe out as you come up. You might do the opposite because of using the rubber band. Two more. And last one. Very good. So come to stand, and we'll just have one foot on the band. Sending the arm up. So as much as possible, aiming vertically. So adjust the tension to suit yourself, and you could do this with very little tension or a lot of tension, but whatever you choose, moving the arm shouldn't change the shape of the waist. So it is very much isolated to the arm And you will feel the shoulder swing around the side of the body, coming underneath the armpit, but that movement should be smooth and in contact with the rib cage the whole time. So breathe out, breathe in, and out. Last time. Good. So let's swap hands, but keep the band underneath the same foot. Pull up and out. Breathe out as you pull, breathe in on the return and resisting. And so you can see I've got a straight arm here. Breathe out as you pull, breathe in on the, so imagine you've got a parrot on your shoulder and you don't want it to peck you on the ear. So keep the shoulder, relatively speaking, down. The shoulder blade is gliding around the rib cage, but we don't want to see the shoulder hiking up around the ears. And so a bit more activity around the waist. Now, turn and look. So think of twisting from the belly button up, turning to look towards the hand. That's it. And rest the arm beside you. Turn and look. And you can adjust the resistance to suit yourself. I was just reading the executive summary of a research paper in the BMJ this morning about sleep and physical activity. Good night's sleep and physical activity reducing our risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer. So, and the two things go together. It's not a secret really, is it, that if you're physically active during the day, you're much more likely to get a good night's sleep. So, so here we are, working up to getting a good night's sleep, reaching the arm up overhead. And if you've got a weaker side, just give yourself a little bit less tension, a little bit more length in the band, feet under hips, knees unlocked, tailbone to the ground, chest lifted and open. And grow tall. That's it, shoulder down, away from the ears, reaching the arm. And the tendency when you've got a stiff shoulder is for the elbow not to want to fully extend. That's a way of an accommodation that occurs, a common accommodation. So just be aware of, if you can, extending the elbow fully, and last time this way. Good. So up and out. On the other side, I'll step my feet a little bit wider apart, hand down beside the hip, and it's from the opposite hip up and out on a diagonal line, thinking about the muscles around the center, stabilizing the pelvis. Always with part of the mind focused on these core muscles and the breath, never holding the breath. Keep the shoulder down, away from the ears. You've got the parrot on the shoulder, and you don't want the parrot to peck the ear. And so turn and look to the hand. Turn from the navel up, and turn the neck, and turn the eyes. Interestingly, having stronger trapezius muscles also can help with instances of neck pain. So this is definitely strengthening the upper fibers of trapezius as well as the deltoid. So do one more, and you probably had quite enough of that. So let's circle the shoulders. Very good. And circle the elbows. And then the full arms, inhale and exhale. Feet under hips. Inhale and exhale. Great stuff. Now, we're going to roll down, pick up the bend, take it round the back of you, underneath the armpits, and bring the forehead, hands to the forehead, and then this extension up and out, tailbone to the ground, chest lifted and open. Breathe out, reach out, breathe in, come in, and yeah, so keep the elbows still in space. You don't want to feel like you're moving your elbows, only extending the elbows. So you can imagine your elbows are resting on the top of a child's head, and reach and extend the elbows. So feeling this in the backs of the arms, also the shoulders, because you're holding your arms up. Yes, who knew your arms could feel so heavy? Breathe out and lower it down. Perfect. So bringing the band out in front this time, pull outwards and then the other way. Good. So breathe out, pull out, breathe in, come in. And then two arms together, pulling outwards. Breathe out, breathe in. There are different strengths of band available, and a lighter band for the arm work might be preferable, but you can always make the work easier by giving yourself just a little bit less tension. So this time, pull, hover to shoulder height, release and return. So it's a pull, it's a hover, down beside you and return. Last time, pull, reach, release and return. Okay, good job. So last of all, with the band as we stand in the warm-up portion of the session, I've got my front foot forwards. I'm in it's not a deep lunge, just a shallow lunge. The back leg is straight and I have my heel down. I'm reaching and pulling with the arms, this long arm row. Now, again, elbows bending is a way of cheating in this maneuver. So we want to feel like the body is inclined forwards, in line with the back leg, back of the head in line with the back of you, and we are pulling on the band. And again, you could do this with light hand weights if you didn't have a rubber band, or with nothing. And imagined resistance is incredibly powerful, interestingly. So let's swap legs. Do the same thing on the other side and come into the same position, but this time pull the elbows back in 90 degrees bend and then work to extend the elbow. And you can see my hand ends up behind the level of my body, and I'm in line with my back leg, back of the head in line with the back of me, chin is in, feeling length through the back of the neck, and feel this work in the back of the arm, the triceps. And of course, thinking about the core muscles. And one. Very good. So lose the band for a second And I want to just pat around the shoulders, down just to generate release in the tissues, onto the back of you, front of you, all around the back of the arm, front of the arm, and onto the hand. And then brush off back of the arm, front of the arm, brush off the fingertips. Good. And then swap sides. So we don't want, we want to get stronger, but we don't want to be left with too much residual tension. So we'll pat and bombard the nervous system with messages. And then brush. And hopefully we feel looser after that. Very good. Turn your head, look one way. Turn your head, look the other way. Grow tall and just take the arms out to the side. So we've got one palm up, one palm down. I'm turning the hands the other way. So have a bit of flexion in this wrist, extension, and then come to flexion, rotate the elbow, rotate the shoulder, and then open. So from the side, you see that the shoulder comes forwards, and then the other shoulder is opening as I come here. That's it. So, and then try and turn it into a wave which progresses from one hand to the other, back again, and last time. Good. Release the shoulders, shrug, shrug, turn your head a bit freer perhaps. Let's roll down from the top, come on to all fours. And we're going to do our cat camel, rounding like the angry cat, sinking into the hollow shape. Breathe out, round, look, lift. Breathe in, sink into the hollow shape. And breathe out, round, look, lift. And sink into the hollow shape. So when we are on all fours, we're bearing load through the arms. And the further your knees are away from your hands, the more load you're likely to have going through the shoulders. And taking load through the shoulders activates the rotator cuff muscles. And these are muscles that are really important to protect and stabilize the shoulder. So come into the mid position, and now we're going to sink the chest or the rib cage down between the arms. And I want you to try and feel as though you are facing the elbows inwards. So rather than allowing the arms to rotate forwards, try and see if you can maintain the elbow creases looking more in towards each other as you do this. And have the elbow just very slightly unlocked. So I'm sinking the ribs and I'm pushing away. And then I'm giving you the option, if you wanted to bring one hand to the forehead and doing the same thing, just with one arm, one hand on the ground. That's sink and push away. Now, if you have painful shoulders, you could do the same thing, standing, leaning, just in a very slight forward incline against a wall, or leaning onto a worktop in the kitchen. Very good. Swap sides so that the hand comes to the forehead, sinking the rib cage down. Now, the key thing here is that you want the back of the rib cage to remain horizontal and parallel with the ceiling, so that we're not drooping at an angle as we do this, but that the shoulder blade is gliding around the side of the rib cage as you push away, and then back in towards its partner on the other side as you sink. And so you'll find you've got a limit as to how much you can do that. Come off your wrists, give your wrists just a bit of a rest. And there we are, good. So hands under shoulders this time, and we're sending one leg reaching away long. Again, imagine that tray of drinks on the back of you. We don't want to lose the tray of drinks. Chin is in, neck is long. And when we weight bear through the arms, have a sense of the shoulder blades on the back of the rib cage as you send the leg away from you. And you can imagine you're in between two walls so that the hips are not rocking from side to side. Breathe out, reach out. Breathe in, come in. Very good. So I'm giving you the option this time to bring the opposite arm alongside the body and alternate sides and really extend the arm so that the arm is straight, the shoulder is open, the neck is long, the chin is tucking gently in, and the neck is long. And we're sending that leg away in line with the hip joint, and resist rocking too much from side to side. So breathe out, reach out. Breathe in, come in. And alternating sides. Good. So the core muscles are working to stabilize as we do this. Now let's tuck the toes and work the core a little bit more. But again, you are taking more load through the arms. Soften the elbows slightly. Breathe out as you hover the knees away from the ground. Breathe in as you hold. And breathe out as you lower. So having the hands just very slightly ahead of the shoulders. Soften the elbows slightly. Breathe in, breathe out. Hover the knees away. Breathe in, hold. Breathe out, lower. And again, breathe out, lift. Breathe in, hold. Breathe out, lower. Very good. So let's come from here and do some push-ups. So we've got the tricep focus, lowering the elbows and then extending the elbows. We'll do between 8 and 10 repetitions. So the elbows, that's it, lower to come more or less underneath the shoulders and then extending them away. So you do want to have some weight resting on the arms as you do this, and feel slowly on the way down and slowly on the way up. So we should feel the back of the arms working as we do this. And the body is in the natural curves of the spine. And keep the whole time that sense of connection between the shoulder blades and the rib cage on the back of you. Good. So take a rest from the wrists. Give it a rest. Backs of the hands together can be quite nice, just to give you that little bit of rest. And then the chest focus push-up is more in line with the shoulders. Okay, and feel like your chest comes down between the hands. So your hands are not higher here, higher, hands, the chest comes down in between the hands. Yeah, so that's when you really know that you're doing something. And you can be in the box position, lowering the chest, not the forehead, but the chest between the hands. Inhale down, exhale, lift and push away. And you could be in the kneeling plank. Also, if you wanted a little bit more, breathe in as you go down, breathe out as you come up. Shoulder blades on the back of you. All the while, that contact between the shoulders and the ribs. And of course, when we do these push-ups, this is definitely work for the core. Breathe out as you lift, breathe in as you lower. Slow, controlled. And slow on the way down is harder, makes this whole thing harder. Down and up, and last time, down, up, and this time lower yourself down and stay down. Come on to the front of the body, make that diamond shape and put your forehead in it. Legs in line with the hip joints and hover the forehead away from the hands, chin is in, neck is long. And really rest in the arms lightly. So breathe out as you hover the forehead. Think of the pelvis resting down on the ground, pubic bone just pressing a little more strongly than the pointy hip bones. Hover the back of the head away and feel as though the head is heavy as you lift it. Breathe out. Hover the head, breathe in, lower it down. Breathe out, hover the head. And really rest in the arms lightly. Good, so come into the W shape, resting the forehead on the edge of the cushion. And arms in the W shape. Hovering the forehead away from the supports, shining the breastbone forwards. Really feel this is in the upper back as much as is possible, using the muscles of the upper back and a sense of sending a light from the end of the tailbone down between the heels as you hover, lengthen. Chin is in, neck is long, and lower it down. And then only if you wanted to, arms beside you. And I've got my palms facing the ground, hovering the forehead, the breastbone, and the arms. And then slowly lower. Breathe out as you reach, lengthen, and hover. Breathe in as you lower. Breathe out, reach, lengthen, and hover. Breathe in as you lower. And again, breathe out, reach, lengthen, and hover. Hands under the head. We're going to hover one leg away and then the other leg. So bottom muscles have a significant contribution to make to the stability of the scapula and thus the function of the shoulder. The bottom muscles on one side have close associations with the muscles around the scapula of the opposite arm. So breathe out as you reach, lengthen and hover. Breathe in as you lower. Bottom muscles active, chest sinking down heavy, arms resting lightly, belly muscles gently engaging, drawing the navel away from the blueberry underneath the front of you. And never bear down into the pelvic floor. Hovering one leg and then the other, straight as can be. Perfect. So sit the seat back all the way to the heels, and this is an opportunity to stretch and open the shoulders. So keeping the hands reaching far, far away from you, settle the seat towards the heels and the belly towards the thighs. Forehead can come towards the ground. And then just by rounding the upper back slightly, get that sense of opening in the front of the shoulder. And then we're going to come to lie on the side. And bring the circle out in front of you. So I've got my arm up underneath my head, high on the hip, space in the waist, arm reaching, and the elbow is straight. And I've got my heel of my hand resting on the top handle and one long line through the whole of the rest of me. Just bear in mind, you do want to preserve a little bit of space in the waist on the underneath side. And here, point as you lift, flex as you lower, so that we are moving the leg as if through treacle, so that imagined resistance, and the arm is just resting lightly down onto the circle at shoulder height. Breathe out as you lift, breathe in as you lower, and think about squeezing a beach ball between the ankles on the way down. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good. Lift and lower. Keeping the waist long on both sides. Feel the lower abdominal muscles. And come to the top, hold and draw circles. 4, 8, small circles. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, the other way. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower it down. So take the tip of the toe behind this straight knee. Allow the knee to come forwards towards the ground. It may or may not touch, and then open. So I'm high on my toes like this, but it's just at the back of my knee, rolling forwards and then opening up. So breathe out, breathe in. Yeah. And so the toe cramp does happen, it does. And so the top hip still as can be, and you can always sort of tuck your toes underneath if you feel the pointy toes is too much. The key thing is your foot is behind your underneath knee. That's it, good. And then hop it forwards and now lift the underneath leg. So breathe out as you lift. So this foot's come forwards and I'm lifting the underneath leg. And then lift, hold and pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower it down. Give it a pat. Good job. All right, so come up to the elbow. And stack the legs one on top of the other. Rotate the forearm outwards by about 45 degrees and then push up. And we can hook the hand across the shoulder. So all the while, the spine is relatively neutral. The head is a bit more vertical, because that will help with any discomfort in the neck. Press out through the palm, and sometimes you feel the need to adjust where your where your hand is sitting. So make any adjustments you feel is necessary. Push using the arm to get yourself up from the ground. Getting up from the ground is a necessary skill. And last time. Good. So hop it in, hop the arm in, breathe out, reach up and over, breathe in and lower it down. So pushing out of the ground, breathe out, lift, breathe in as you lower, and again, breathe out, lift, breathe in as you lower. One more time, breathe out, so the head just follows the line of the neck, and lower it down, very good. Swap sides. Swivel round, quick as you like, onto the other side, legs in a line, arm up underneath the head and the other arm out in front of you. So just take a moment, check down the front of you, make sure you can just about see the tops of your feet, and the arm is resting lightly on the top of the circle. So here we are thinking about the abdominal content, restrain from falling forwards. Make sure that you are moving at the hip so that the pelvis stays completely still. You don't want to feel like your waist is shortening as you lift that top leg. Feel the length through the waist. Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in as you lower. Point as you lift. Flex as you lower. And breathe out. And breathe in. And lightly resting on the circle. 2 more. So moving through treacle, pressing away. Last one. Hold at the top. Draw little circles for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7. I might have only done 8 on the other side. 4, 3, 2, 1. Never mind. Give it a pat. So I'm bringing the tip of the toe behind the underneath leg, rotating the knee forwards and then opening the knee. So when the knee comes forwards, you will notice that you feel the need perhaps to press a little more down onto the circle. So what we hope is that the core muscles are helping to support and stabilize so that you don't need to press down on your hand quite so much. And really that opening of the knee. Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in as you lower. And then hop your leg in front and lift the underneath leg. Breathe out, breathe in. Out as you lift, in as you lower. The leg is straight at the knee, inner thigh facing the sky and barely touching down, barely resting down. Come to the top, hold and pulse. 2, 3, top, yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Wonderful. Come up, elbow directly underneath the shoulder, and so a sense of pushing away from the ground, out of the shoulder, activating the calf muscles. Rotate the forearm out by about 45 degrees, give or take, and then push. And I've just got my hand across the chest to add a little bit more in the way of body weight resistance, and slowly lower. Breathe out, lift. Breathe in and lower. And so upper body strength in women can be a little bit lacking on occasion. So this is important work for us to do, in my humble opinion. Breathe out. Being well muscled might just be your savior should you end up tripping over the dog or any other such like. And broken bones are definitely no fun. All right, come on in. Anything we can do to guard against even what might be called a simple wrist fracture. Truthfully, there's no such thing as a simple fracture. Lower it down. It's always going to mean at least 4 weeks in a cast and not able to drive. It's all the tale of woe today, isn't it? I don't know. What am I like? Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in as you lower. And do one more. Wonderful. And so coming onto your back, let's take a slow descent onto the ground. And I'm going to put the circle around the outsides of my knees and just push lightly into the handles on the circle, and then do some pelvic rocking. So imagining a marble on the pubic bone rolling in towards the navel and then back towards the pubic bone. Breathe out as you roll in, breathe in as you roll away, and really mobilize the spine. So we can begin to peel the spine bone by bone, coming to rest up on the shoulder blades. Breathe in at the top and then breathe out as you lower. And really get a sense of each bone in the back of you, lifting one by one and then lowering one by one. And if you've got a diagnosis of osteoporosis, it may be that this is not suited to you, in which case you could just lift and lower the hips. Unless this is something that you've done a lot of and you're familiar with it and you know it doesn't cause you any troubles, then I leave it for your own judgment. And lowering the body bit by bit by bit to the tailbone. Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in at the top. Breathe out as you lower. All the way down. And roll in. Peel the spine up and away. Breathe in at the top. Breathe out as you lower. Bits by bits by bits by bits. Do that one more time. This time we're going to float the arms up overhead and as much as possible trying to straighten the arms. Lower the body bit by bit by bit, all the way to the ground. And then the arms last of all. Roll the pelvis in, peel the spine up and away. Breathe in at the top, pushing outwards into the circle the whole time. Breathe in as you lower. Very good. So we can make this one the last one and then hug the knees in. The circle's like a little handle, hugging yourself in. I like that. All right, so we'll take the circle in the hands. Hands above shoulders, shoulder blades heavy down into the ground. And I'm just squeezing lightly in on the shoulder, on the handles of the circle the whole time. We're going to hover one leg to tabletop. And then swap sides, alternating legs. So you can choose whether you hold the circle or whether you rest your arms down beside you on the ground. Breathe out as you lift, breathe in as you lower. And you could do the opposite if your body is preferring that. Good. And then let's float the arms away overhead. So you might feel that the circle taps towards the ground and then come back to the vertical. So with this, let's focus on keeping the rib cage sinking down heavy into the ground. Chin is in, neck is long. As you breathe out, reach overhead. Breathe in on the return. Coming back to the center. So this time, I want you to open one knee to the side, back to the center, and then do the same thing on the other side. So we've got our tray of drinks resting on the front of us, and you don't want to allow the tray to spill, to move and spill any of the drinks. And all the while, I'm just squeezing lightly in on this circle. Elbows just very slightly unlocked. So this time we'll send the arms up overhead as you open the knee. And just notice the resting knee is completely still, so it's not moving at all. Breathe out as you reach overhead. Breathe in on the return. And notice the rib cage sinking down, the shoulder blades more or less underneath the back of you, and one knee very still as the other leg falls out to the side. Perfect. So let's bring one leg into tabletop. And now reach that leg, reaching long. So breathe out, reach out. Breathe in, come in. And all the while, we've got energy in the abdominal muscles, preventing the back from arching, preventing the belly from doming, and sending the leg reaching away from you in line with the hip joint. And then lower it down and swap and do the same thing with the other leg. So take your time, breathe out, reach out, breathe in, come in. Remember the leg is traveling in line with the hip joint. And so you are aiming for a precise spot with the tip of the toe each time. Breathe out, reach out, breathe in, come in, and sending the leg away from you. Feel as though you are activating the thigh muscles as you extend the knee. And then make this one the last one. So I'm going to give you the option to come up with 2 legs in tabletop, or you can just repeat that previous exercise. Tapping the tip of the toe to the ground and then back up again. and then one at once. You can tap the tip of the toe, hands above shoulders, squeezing lightly in on the handles. And then if you wanted to, 2 toes can tap simultaneously. So 2 toes tapping is much harder to stabilize with the spine. So do be very sure that your body is ready to do this maneuver. And if it isn't, you can do one leg at once, and or you can revert back to a previous version of this exercise. So pick and choose, and instead of stopping altogether, it's better to regress the exercise down a level rather than stopping altogether. Make this one the last one. Good. And let's just grab one foot with the band, with the circle, and draw the leg in towards you, stretching off the back of the leg, tailbone heavy into the ground. Breathe in and out, chin is in, neck is long. Now, can you straighten the other leg away along the ground? And feel that opposition. Breathe in and out. And then the option to curl the upper body away from the ground. Come up to sit. That's it. And then lower it down. So when you lower, rock the pelvis away, round the lumbar spine, lower the low back, the upper back, and then less of all the head. Nod the chin to the chest, scoop the belly contents, peel the spine up and away, up tall at the top. Inhale, exhale, lower the lumbar spine first, upper back. Chin in all the way to the end. Good, swap legs. Stretch off the low back. Breathe in and out. I said stretch off the low back. I don't know what I meant then. Stretch off the hamstrings is what we're doing. And you could have the resting leg bent, certainly to begin with. Holding onto the circle, and then option to extend the leg, but only so long as you can keep the pelvis square and level. Breathe in and out, drawing the leg in towards you, and then nod the chin to the chest, peel the body away from the ground bit by bit, come up to the top. Breathe in, rock the pelvis away, lower the spine, bone by bone by bone, all the way to the ground. And then head and neck last of all. Breathe in. Do that one more time. Scoop the belly contents, peel the spine up and away. And let's sit up lovely and tall. So come to sit, cross-legged. Sitting up tall, reach the arm up and over. Allow the head to just be soft. Take the head with you. Always take the head with you. That's it. Good. And then the other way. Take the head with you. Just allow the neck to be soft. Good. And dive forwards. Forehead towards the ankles. And curl and swap your legs and dive it forwards again. And then uncurl Restack. I'm putting my legs back my favorite way, and then we're going to stand up. Yep, good. Come on up, circle the shoulders, circle the elbows, and full arms. Oof, gosh. Clunk, click every trip. And this time, take a big breath in and breathe out. Do that again. Last time, breathe in. As you exhale, arms to the side, head to the ceiling, tail to the ground.